Welcome to the Ideal Investor Show. This is the podcast where we help you challenge your mindset and discover where you are. Tired of stories about other people's success? We can help you change your life, determine your time freedom point, and join us on the journey to financial success. Let's go. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ideal Investor Show, where we bring you great guests to talk about things in life and sometimes also on how to make passive income. And today we have a great guest, and hopefully I can say friend, Victoria Noethling is with us. Tell us what you're doing these days.
Yes, my husband doesn't believe I understand retirement, but I am having one heck of a good time in my retirement. And so what I'm doing is when I turned my late 50s, I joined a company that I love as a consultant, and it's called Neora. And what I do there is I dabble in the anti-aging and wellness industry, helping people look better, feel better, and live better. And I really think it's so important that as you get it, even in your 30s, to start really thinking about how are you treating your body and what are you doing to make sure that you have what I'm calling my next chapter of my life to be one that's fulfilling, and I can chase after grandbabies, and I can go and walk upstairs and not have to have oxygen at the end. All these things that we really don't think about. We just think we're bulletproof as we're in our 30s and 40s. And then, we suffer for that in our 50s and 60s. But I'm here to tell you at 66, it doesn't have to be that way.
Awesome. And we have been in other calls and other events together and so forth. And I can tell for sure for our audience that you have all the energy of probably like a 30 or 40-year-old, right? And it shows in every way. And people that will see us here as a video, they will see it as well. The other thing that I know is that you're also focusing maybe a little more than 50% on women. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
At the end of my podcast, I always say life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. And the reason I do that is because we as women try to do so many things, and it's been a hard road for a lot of us. I started working in the 70s, and the management style that I had shown to me was more of a masculine energy. And I just want to help women get their path to be a little less stressful and to believe in themselves. I really look at myself as a connector, and everything that I'm dabbling in and doing in this new journey that I have is to help women empower themselves, to believe in themselves, and to take a chance on doing something outside their comfort zone so that they can realize the great journey that they can have in this next path that they take.
Okay, yeah, that's very cool. So maybe we can touch on both of those parts a little bit. First, when you said you learned a lot about and are now dabbling, as you called it, in helping people to remain healthy or get healthy again and then sustain it, what are maybe the core 4 or 5 things that you would say people should really consider even at a much earlier age to change so that they have this longevity ahead of them?
I'll just kind of go over the points that I have with our weight management system that we have, because even if you didn't use the Neora weight management, which is called Neora Fit, every aspect of it makes sense to do. So first is get enough sleep. Okay. All of us, raise your hand out there. Give me a thumbs up if you thought 3 hours was good, if you got that much sleep. And, even menopausal women have trouble with sleep. So all through our lives, we don't give the self-care that it's needed for sleep. And sleep is just that time where we can rebuild and refresh, and your body can get back what was taken out throughout that stressful day that you had. So you need to get at least 8 hours of sleep. And it needs to be a good sleep, not just a restless sleep too. So if you're not using the NeuroFit, then there are other things that you can do. We also have sleep and energy chews because our circadian rhythm gets all out of whack. You see it a lot of times if you have any kind of surgery where you had extended sleep and then all of a sudden your body is like sleeping in the day and can't sleep at night. Your circadian rhythm has to get back in check. If you have a project where you're working all day trying to do all these all-nighters, after a time, your body is all confused. So having something that can put that circadian rhythm back in order is so important. So you sleep right, have, again, that mental focus. As we age in our 40s, 30s, sometimes we start to lose our edge, if you will, in mental focus. How many times do we walk in a room and say, why am I here? What did I need? I don't remember. And so you want to make sure that your brain is being really supplemented so that it can have a better focus. And there are other things on the market, but I have a thing called EHT, which is developed by Princeton scientists to be able to give you holistically a way to have your brain cells like trigger a little better so that as you go through life, you're not going to have as many times of forgetting what it was that you wanted when you walked in that room.
Right.
The
So
thing is,
very quick, for those
Mhm.
shoes that you mentioned, and then this EHT, are there any kind of ingredients that our audience would be familiar with, or is it some unpronounceable chemical stuff?
No, it's not unpronounceable chemicals, but it's all, as I said, natural and holistic. That's the thing I love about Neora is they take pride in putting things in that are clean and holistic and not a lot of chemicals because our body doesn't need that. It's just natural. Even in the sleep, it's called Cleanse and Calm is one of the supplements for the NeuroFit you take in the evening, and it has a chemical not a chemical molecule, I'm sorry, that's called happy banana. And I love that Princeton thought they call it that. But happy banana is a molecule that, when ingested in your body, creates naturally melatonin.
Oh, okay.
So your body makes its own melatonin, and therefore you have a sound sleep without adding other things that are going to cause you to be groggy or, have a hard time waking up in the morning.
That's very cool. So we got sleep. So what's the next thing
The
then?
other thing is water.
Right.
So
Hydration, yes.
I am 5'9"
Mm.
and I need 96 ounces of water a day. And so the great thing is that the more you drink water, say, I never really was a great water drinker. I was the iced tea and soda drinker forever until my body said caffeine is no good for you. And so at 40, I had an episode where my blood pressure went to stroke level.
Wow.
And I was traveling to California for work, and after that trip, I was to travel to Maryland, and I got on the plane and said, "I don't think I can go to the next stop," which was Texas. I felt that bad, and they took me off the plane. They had called my hotel. My hotel sent someone to pick me up, took me to the hospital, and the hospital then checked me out and said I was severely dehydrated. And so I spent 2 days in a hotel room drinking water, having high protein to get back. And from that point on, I eliminated caffeine from my diet.
Water
Yeah.
is
And
definitely important. I always feel it. You mentioned earlier, like this mental crispness, sharpness, like your
mhm,
brain is running properly. And when I feel a little bit like it's not really running well for me, most of the time I just need to drink extra water, so to speak, and
yeah,
that makes a huge difference. I used to actually many decades ago now, every once in a while get headaches and didn't
yeah.
really know what to do about it.
Me
And
too.
I think a bunch of it was related to hydration and we're just not properly hydrated.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good thing. You mentioned proteins. What do you do on proteins?
So I use the protein that I offer through Neora, but it's a plant-based protein, and I do a shake in the morning that has, I add a collagen, which is the first supplement for the Neurofit. It's a collagen and then a pre and probiotic, which is fantastic. We had that as a single supplement, and then they added it to Neurofit because gut health is so important to our brain health as well. And so the prebiotic is a lot of times what people are missing when they take a probiotic, because the prebiotic is actually feeding the probiotic in your gut so that it works better. And so the shake has those two things. And then we have a supplement called Youth Factor. And what it is, it's adds all of the fruit and vegetables that you need in a day. And I don't know about you, but I was really bad at in a day eating all the fruits and vegetables I need. And I love fruit and I like raw vegetables, but I wasn't maxing out that. And so now every day I get that. And it's amazing. That shake in the morning takes me that when lunchtime comes, I'm not starving. I'm not famished. And so it does enable you to really curb that hunger. But oftentimes when you are really hungry, you're thirsty.
For me, I agree with everything you said. I've been lucky because we have been for quite a while, well, actually for many years now, been living in California, and in that climate, we have fruit trees, citrus trees. I've actually oftentimes overdone the stuff in the raised beds, so the whole neighborhood is kind of helping with eating the zucchinis and stuff.
That's nice.
But from a protein perspective, I mean, maybe this is considered old-fashioned, but what my wife and I do is basically we have a different animal protein each day of the week, right? So we have, like, let's say beef, and obviously looking for organic grass-fed and that kind of stuff. But we have, like, let's say beef on Mondays, lamb on Tuesdays, something like pork on Wednesday, fish on Friday, obviously on Thursday, I don't know, chicken maybe. So we have something different. Barbecue is never not being used. It's basically.
I know, that's exactly right. Here in Georgia, the barbecue runs all year long.
But
the thing for me is I also have a history of cholesterol issues in my family. So I kind of watch the beef, and the only beef that I eat is really lean beef when I have it.
Right.
So I may only have that once a week, as you stated, but I love chicken and fish. And so I love to cook. So I keep on finding new ways to cook chicken and fish. That's healthy for both my husband and my daughter, who's in her 30s, and she's now discovering, oh, I should eat a little healthier. So
cool. So I think nutrition is really the key ingredient. And I mean, my wife is very much into this, studying it for years, and has educated me that really a lot of the overall health, like you had mentioned already, comes from the gut. And also there is now, I think, scientifically proven connection between the microbiome and the brain. So, so all those things are really valuable. So I want to take the last 5, 8, 10 minutes of our conversation to talk a little bit about your experience in getting women to believe in themselves, because that's really something. For me, it's a little hard because sometimes, people don't want to quite take me as serious as they would you, because you obviously know how women take it. So how can we help women to realize, especially like what we are doing, we want to help people, women included, to build their passive income portfolio and basically have the option to either do early retirement or very joyful retirement. What can we do, and what's your experience in helping them to believe in themselves a little more?
I think the first thing that you have to do is you have to listen to them.
Okay.
And listen to understand, not listen to talk. So when I talk about, the anti-aging business or my speaking business or my leadership business, I want to listen to them first and have them tell me their story and find out about them to understand, well, what are some of the roadblocks that are keeping them from that? You peeling the onion that's holding them back. But I think the thing that really helps them to start to believe in themselves is as you help them to discover that they can do the things, small steps at a time, because those small wins are so important for you to gain confidence. And really confidence is really driven by the courage that you have to try something. This 2021 was my year of yes. I literally said yes to almost everything that came my way, even if it scared me, because I wanted to see what the possibilities were. The beauty of that was that as you started to see, I didn't die, I didn't go to jail or anything, then
Yeah.
you think, okay, well, maybe I'll try the next thing.
Yeah.
But it's when you walk with someone is how you can help them understand that it's a path that they could take, that they start to believe in themselves because they're not alone. And I think a lot of times whenever you even venture into entrepreneurial, a lot of people think, well, I'm alone. I really am not able to do that because I don't know what to do. I don't know when to do something. I don't know how to do it. And so it's so important that you seek others to be your coach, like Axel, like myself, where you're not by yourself. And that allows you to gain confidence. And when you gain confidence, then you start to believe in yourself.
I would even almost go as far as saying I mainly started Idea Wealth Grower as a business because for several years, when I met friends or even family members, but mainly friends, business friends, or in certain projects and stuff, and I think everybody knows, would agree, you have these conversations over lunch or dinner where people say, so what are you up to? What are you doing outside of work? And I was always talking about growing my real estate investing portfolio to the point where several times when the same people kind of heard me talk about it the same way or the same topics, they said, wow, you know so many things about it, you should share that with others. Ultimately, I said, okay, well, so then we should offer an open, basically something a little more formal with a website and having the podcast and stuff so that people can join, get my mentorship. And it's basically helping them to do the same thing that I have done without doing the same mistakes that I have committed, so to speak. And that's really enjoyable because exactly like you said, and I would invite as many women as are comfortable to come and just have a conversation about it, because my main thing is to say, hey, I can show you what I've done. I can make you have access to all the relationships with the different banks and
Yeah.
insurance and all that stuff that you need. So you don't have to discover all of this yourself. It's exactly like you said. I always say, we're basically taking somebody by the hand and walk down the path
Yeah.
with them, right? So that's really cool. So finishing, I always ask kind of a couple of the same questions. Since we're a little in a time crunch, I want to at least get you to answer this first one, and that is, if you could meet anybody, Vicky, who would it be and why?
I've had that asked of me before. It's always such a good question. And I would love to meet Oprah because to me, she was a person who faced challenges, a lot of different challenges, and she never stopped. She got kicked down and she got back up. And for me, that's just a great reminder. And I would love to have a conversation with her because of all the people that she met
Right.
through her life now that she's interviewed and the lessons she has got to have learned. To me, it would be just such a great conversation. So much so, I am going to start a new podcast in 2024 called It's Just a Conversation. I own those URLs because I want to interview those people just like Oprah did to be able to uncover the uniqueness of them, the stories that they have, to allow others to maybe see themselves in those individuals.
Okay, yeah, that sounds very good, exciting. So I wish you good luck with that and your other podcast, which I'm assuming you will probably keep. So if people are
Yes.
intrigued and they say, hey, I really like what Vicky says, I like how she thinks and her own successes, how can they get in touch with you?
The easiest thing is to go to my website, which is findyourleadershipconfidence.com. Again, findyourleadershipconfidence.com. And there you can just schedule a chat with me. It's no obligation, just to see what it is that you like. If you want to know even more about NeoraFit, you can visit my vickynoethling.neora and be able to do that. But if you just schedule some time with me, we can talk about anti-aging, we can talk about wellness, anything that you'd like.
Yeah, that's very good. And we're going to put all those links and so forth in the show notes so people can find them real quick and don't have to hands-free driving or something like that right now.
Yes.
So Vicky, it was a great pleasure for having you on the show and sharing some of your wisdom, and I hope we can do it again sometime.
Yes, definitely will. See you now. Thank you.